Hey guys, dudes. Beast here, bringing you a rivals race today on Bathurst. So this was a rivals race. When I hopped on Forza, they had a new lobby, a new multiplayer hopper lobby, which was the exotic cars or hyper cars, which was really sick. Unfortunately, I only own the Porsche 918, which 918, which, you know, it's not a bad car. It sounds awesome, and the technology in the car is pretty great, and the launch is really great. But the car itself, not a fan of. I don't really like the looks. I really don't like the wheels. But yeah, so this is the F50 GT, so I'm going to give you an audio sample here so you can hear how sick it is. Sounds pretty sick, right? So anyway, this was a car that I didn't actually even know existed until a friend told me about it. I picked the, I've said this before, but when you start the game, you get to just hop into like a class and do, you know, some racing like right off the bat. And I actually chose the F50 as my car. It seemed like the car that I'd be most likely to drive and enjoy, which I'm glad I picked that one because I did. But this was just the GT version of that. So I didn't know this car existed. A friend told me about it, told me how much he wanted it, and I looked, and sure enough, it was there. And so I kind of forgot about it. Went sort of in the back of my mind, and then just recently, when I leveled up, it was one of the leveling up rewards. I think for 400 grand, it's normally like 1.1 million. So I think it was, yeah, I think it was 450, and it said the discount was 650. So I guess I'd put it at 1.1. Not 100% sure on that, but so that's why I got it, was that, and I actually saved the reward because I got it like in a multiplayer game, I think, and luckily when you do that, it saves the reward for later, so I just left it, and then I saved up some money because I didn't have the, actually I guess it was maybe 600,000 or 650, so I didn't have the credits to buy it, so I saved it for a while and ended up buying it just recently. And this is my first time racing it, so when I saw that they had this new hypercar lobby, I was using the Porsche 918. I used it for a few races, and I have some of those recorded. I may put those up. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, this thing is a little harder to control than I thought. But something about the 918, just, I don't really like it. I'm not really a fan of the styling. Some of the cues from it I love. You know, I mean, it's just kind of, in my opinion, just kind of an car. I know that's a terrible thing to say about $1 million car, but, you know, I mean, it's just something about the styling I'm not really a fan of. The one thing that I do like is I love the humps on behind the seats, kind of like they did on the Carrera GT, and I love that the exhaust exits up there, which is really sick. And then of course the fact that it's a, you know, it's a Porsche, and I do like Porsches, but other than that, I'm not really a fan of it. And so yeah, I mean, I was driving it, and it wasn't really competitive either. What I really want in that class is the P1, and there's actually a P1 GTR you can get in that class. So that's kind of the goal, but I don't have any credits right now. I've been spending them again. So yeah, I mean, so this was good for now. So when I saw they had a new hypercar lobby, I went in and thought, oh, maybe there's new rivals, and sure enough, there is. And the rival was Bathurst, and I love this track. And so I saw the Bathurst, and then I saw that one of my friends that had done it had used the F50 GT, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna race this and use the F50 GT. So I did. And that's what we're watching right now. So, the fastest lap I get, I want to say, is like lap 6, I think. It's either lap 6 or 8, I can't remember, but it ends up being, I believe, a 58.5, which puts me at 27. So, this is a non-homologation one, so there are some restrictions, but it basically has to be a stock F50 GT. So, you can't use any tunes, you can't use any sort of upgrades at all, so it just has to be stock. And it's actually a lot harder to control than I would have thought it would be, given that it's a P-class car. It's like a P921, which is, you know, I mean, that's getting up there. So I thought it would be much better than this, but it doesn't handle like I thought it was going to. And so it was actually a real pain. So actually, it might have even been like lap 4. Like, I got my fastest like pretty early on, and I was doing real well. And then as I was driving the car more and more and more, it just it kept getting away from me, and I kept scratching the wall here and there and dirtying the lap, and it was getting really discouraging. And so I decided to call it quits. I mean, I raced for a while. I raced for like 40 minutes probably. I did take a couple minute pause, like a 5-minute pause in there, just to, let my hand rest for a minute, just because the car is so unstable. When you race cars like this that are unstable and they're sliding around, like you're steering left and right constantly. So when you use a controller, you're basically giving your left wrist a workout while you're trying to keep the car straight. So after about 20-25 minutes, I had to stop and take a little break. But yeah, I mean, it handles. I don't know, it handles similarly to other cars I've driven in this class, I guess, but it's just real loose. And not necessarily in the back. The back is a little bit loose if you get real heavy under braking and you steer at the same time. Downshift a couple times, you can get the back loose, but really more about the front end. Like, the front end really doesn't have anywhere near as much grip as I thought it would. Like, this turn right here was a real tough corner to get. I mean, that was, like, fully off the gas and, like, really taking it gingerly, and I was barely hitting it. That turn and then that turn there, those two turns, and this turn right here, those three right there were the three most difficult turns for sure on the track, and I could not figure them out. I got most of the other turns figured out, and I ended up running a couple real fast laps. So like I said, the fastest lap that I ran ended up ranking me, I think 27th in the United States, or the Americas, I should say. But I did run several laps at a 57, so I did run several laps at least half a second faster, or even 7/10 faster, like, almost a mid 57. And then I actually had one lap that was a 56. I think it was a 56.8, which is a full, 1.6 and some change faster. So the potential was there for me to run that, but that was dirty, and I was having a real hard time keeping them clean. I mean, as you'll see through the race, I cut out a couple of laps in the middle just for, purposes of making this like not an absurdly long video. But basically all the laps were the same after a certain point. I was pushing the car and trying to find the limits of the car, and so as a result of that, I'd scrape my mirror on the wall or something, and it would dirty the lap, which was really frustrating and kind of discouraging, because I mean, to run my fastest lap early on and then have that kind of trouble like that, it's just really it was a little bit discouraging. Not to mention I was dozing off a little bit while I was playing, which is never good when you're trying to play a game that requires you to be at your heightened, most alert senses when you're sitting here and you're kind of dozing off a little bit. So, but I mean, I don't think I ran. I mean, I think I might have only run over 2 minutes, like two times, maybe 3 times out of the 15 laps. And initially, my rival that was ranked for me for one of my friends was like a 2:02, and I thought that seemed a little light after I went and looked at the leaderboards and saw that some of the guys were getting in I think in the 53s. So that seemed a little light to me. So I went in and found someone that was right around the 2-minute mark. And yeah, I mean, I guess you can see at the end of the video. I forgot to look, but I guess you can see at the end of the video what it would have ranked me if I had done my 56.8 clean. But I didn't, so, it's kind of irrelevant. But I always like to look at that just to see, because, that was the fastest I was able to get around the track. And I don't think there was really much scraping or anything like that on that one. It must have just been, there were a few times where I was getting a little dirty on the grass, and sometimes where, like I said, I was scraping like a mirror. I mean, as you can see, my right mirror is already gone, my passenger mirror, so I'm just getting real close. And especially with a car like this that you're not familiar with, like, these cars are meant to be driven pretty much at their limit. And so, I mean, look how far ahead of the Ghost I am. So at this point, he's a 2-minute Ghost, and I'm way ahead of him. So that turn, I took it a little bit conservative, because I knew I was on a clean lap. So this was actually my fastest one right here. And yeah, I mean, it was a fun car to drive. I like driving it. Sounds kind of cool. Sounds a little more high-pitched than I would prefer, honestly. So there it is right there. So 158.5 ended up being my best. Like I said, I did run several 57s, and I did run a 56.8, but I wasn't able to clean those up. They were dirty, and I could have if I had more time. I don't know. I got discouraged, and I don't want to do it anymore. So, you have to be at your highest awareness. You have to be really, really paying attention and really going for it and really into it if you want to get these fast times. If you're starting to, if you're like a 95% into it, you're not going to do anything. So that's kind of where I was the last couple of laps, and so I figured it was time to call it quits, and maybe I'll try it again another day. But And this is a great Rivals event. This track is absolutely awesome. One of my favorite tracks, especially from Forza 5. And we were just really never able to race it very much in Forza 6. It just didn't come up that much. So it was always a treat to race it there. But this one, I've raced it a few times recently, and it's a beautiful, awesome track. So this is actually a better lap. As you can see, I'm ahead by another 0.6. And I don't even know when I dirty this one. Ah, see right there. See that clip? That's all it took, right there. Just a little tiny tap is all it took. And that ruined it for me. Ruined the lap. Let's check my next split and see where I am again. Because, I mean, it didn't even really cost me much time, you know, getting a little thing like that. Yeah, see, 1.5 up from a, you know, 58.4, so that's a 56.9. And it's just a shame I couldn't make that happen. Couldn't make that any better. But, I mean, as you can see, this is lap 10. So, lap 4 is when I ran that other time, so I had another 5 laps, another 5-6 laps to get the track down. So that's what happens when you and see there's a terrible turn there. And that's actually when I paused it. Because at that point, I was a little bit discouraged. And my hand was hurting a little bit, so I decided to stop. But, so you do like a 57.0, and that was after pausing, so obviously I lifted off the gas for a while, which will cause a problem. When you come back into it, you've lost a couple tenths when you do that, so something to keep in mind. But yeah, I don't really have too much else for you guys. I'll let you enjoy the rest of this if you want. Thank you for being here. Thanks for checking out my videos. We actually just crossed 100,000 views total on my channel, which is super exciting. There's a guy I work with who's talking about a channel that he started up, and he's talking about how, you know, you can't monetize the videos and all this stuff until you get to 10,000. And it's funny because I kind of take that for granted because that happened to me a couple years ago, and then I stopped uploading for like 3 years. So I kind of take that for granted, but I sincerely appreciate you guys being here and checking out these videos and watching them. Those of you who watch all the videos or all the time, I really do appreciate that. It keeps me making them. It drives me to make more, and I appreciate that, and it's a two-way street, so I get something out of it and you get something out of it. So I really appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe. Make sure that way you don't miss anything, and make sure you check back soon for another video. I've been uploading every day, and I plan to continue doing that. So thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the race. See you later.